normally around Thanksgiving time, you think of something like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, or perhaps what's that chicken movie? Free Range, Free Run, something like that. Chicken Run.
Free
Something
Willy,
else. No, there was a chicken movie by like the Wallace and Gromit
Chicken
guys.
Run,
Chicken Run.
Chicken Run.
There was another one, some other free chicken movie. But anyways, you think of those movies around Thanksgiving time. But this is an independent horror channel. So this pick of the week is Thankskilling. Now, it is the one and only killer turkey puppet independent horror movie that I know of in existence.
Mm-hmm.
And due to that fact alone, this movie gets a recommend because no matter how good or bad the movie is, theoretically, if you have the only killer puppet turkey Thanksgiving movie, you corner the market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
So,
what's interesting about Thankskilling is that there are two of them. The second one is the third one. There is no second. It just jumps from Thankskilling to Thankskilling 3.
yes.
Thankskilling is it's pretty fun. The background about it is what makes it even funnier, right?
Yeah.
So first off, I had read that it's done by Jordan Downey, and he's done a bunch of films. We can talk about him. But what's cool is this was his first, and it was made for $3,500. And him and his buddies basically got drunk, sat down, and said, "What is the stupidest idea for a horror film possible?" And they came up with a killer turkey Thanksgiving movie.
And they also learned how to do Photoshop and all the effects themselves. And this is the one of the only movies that I can think of. It's a micro cinema movie, and the sequel got a very successful Kickstarter funding campaign. They raised $112,000 after starting out with a $3,500 movie. Now, I would say 99% of micro cinema movies do not ever get anywhere near that, no matter.
No, God, and I've done an Indiegogo campaign, and we had a semi-celebrity involved in said Indiegogo campaign. It was a disaster. We didn't raise anywhere near that. You can actually see that the Kickstarter campaign. If you go to Kickstarter and search for Thankskilling, it's still the old page is up there. But they raised $112,000 and almost 500 backers. That's clearly based on the fact. It has to be based on the fact. Well, there's one of two things. Whether one, they built up enough of a fan base based on the first one that they tapped that fan base to make the sequel, which I would think is exactly what happened. At 112,466 backers, clearly there is probably a couple of family friends or somewhere in there that threw in bigger amounts, because I don't think everyone's given $10,000 or whatever. But no, this is a good story of let's drink a bunch of beer, come up with a stupid idea that, like, let's be honest, is high concept. It is a high concept idea. As there's no other way to put it. It's there's a killer turkey and it's a puppet.
I mean, I'm baffled by the fact that no one's ever tried it before with all the other horror themed movies that they've exhausted. I mean, like, you exhaust like Spring Break, you got like killer Easter bunnies, every single thing that you could think of, a million like killer Santa Claus movies, but no one has thought of a killer turkey yet until now.
It is. That's something to think about as a filmmaker. Like, pick a random. I mean, high concept is a thing, and it's clearly high concept. As stupid as that sounds, but Thankskilling about a killer turkey is high concept. But it is a good path again, like to be able to come up with something high concept, stupid, go out there that's stupid enough and it's actually entertaining. But then to leverage that into another one, and the cool thing is, not only that, just recently he now has a new movie out called The Headhunter, which is actually pretty. I mean, it's even done for less budgets. I think it's 30,000 US that he did it for, but it looks great, and it's actually not a goofy comedy. It's a good flick. Have you seen Headhunter yet?
Have not seen it yet. No.
Yeah,
but I've heard great things about it. Yeah,
it's worth checking out. I mean, just because you actually watch it and think. Like, I was shocked when I found out it was 30,000. So Jordan's clearly cut a path by starting with Thankskilling that he made for $3,500 and literally probably got drunk with his buddies and came up with the idea.
Well, I mean, not only does it corner the market on the killer turkey movie, but it's a great movie for people to have on in the background of parties and things like that. Just like the novelty of it, let alone anything else. if people go to the store and they're like, okay, we want to have like a party movie on for college or anything else like that, where you have a bunch of people together, just something playing in the background, you're going to laugh thinking of that title, as opposed to that's going to separate it from all the other all the other like low budget horror movies out there that they seem like the same thing over and over again, you know.
It's also the high concept thing. I know the guy who produced Wolf Cop.
Mm-hmm.
And he got it through an accelerator program. He got the rights to it, and it was a bunch of nobodies that had put it in there. And he said he got it at the when he read the title Wolf Cop, he was like, "That's the one." He didn't even read the script yet. He was like, "I know it's high, like I get it instantly." It was basically, I mean, if you've seen Wolf Cop, it's RoboCop,
yes,
but a werewolf.
The story is very much like right out of RoboCop, yeah.
Well, it is. It's just it's like, and it's called Wolf Cop. It's exactly RoboCop. But again, high concept. And chatting with him, I had beers with him, and he was just like, because I didn't even have to read the script. As soon as I saw what it was because I know that that's going to catch. And like Thankskilling is kind of the same type of deal. So it's interesting to think that if you have a high concept enough and a catchy name, sometimes that's all you need. And now Jordan Downey has, I mean, I wouldn't say, translated it into a career, because The Headhunter was made for $30,000. It came out a year and a half ago, but I'm telling you, he's well on his way. The Headhunter got him a bunch of awards, and it is pretty good. So, I mean, that's a good story.
Yeah, absolutely. A great micro cinema success story. And it will this is one of those movies that will let you know right away, if you haven't seen micro cinema before, whether you're going to like micro cinema or be repulsed by it. But
that's a very good point. There's a few films out there that if you don't know whether or not you're going to like true independent horror, you can put on Thankskilling, and if you want to turn that off within minutes, true independent horror is not for you.
But one of the things that I think works in its favor is it does have a lot of the staples of all like the same like low budget super micro cinema movies that you've seen over and over again, but it is so over the top that it works on a like that you can laugh at it. And like, especially with the turkey putting on like a Groucho Marx disguise and driving a car and everything. I mean, and this is also the other thing that I like about micro cinema movies. They use real looking people in it. They have like a fat guy in it, so I can relate to a character in the movie. And then they also I mean, all the main characters kind of like chunky looking or just average or kind of slothy. And that's what I really like about independent movies. You don't have like, it takes off the veneer that Hollywood has. There's like a couple of Fabios in it or whatnot, but there's more like real people. You get more real people in independent. You see that in more foreign countries. They use a lot more real looking people. In America, it's only the place that like they really try to glamorize everything.
Yeah, that's true. The other thing is worth noting is it does, when you have a micro cinema film and it tries to act all like it's not micro cinema, like it's trying to hide it, it just never works. I've never seen that work. And you have to like lean into the fact that you're low budget. And I think that, I mean, when you turn on Thankskilling, you get it right off the bat, but it just instantly makes sense. It's like anything in that, like that. As long as you know who you are, you got to be self-aware about what you're doing.
Absolutely.
You can't try to get around.
And they're definitely self-aware. I think you're forgiven a lot of sins if you're self-aware.
Yeah.
And especially in that case. And another thing that I think is a good recommend for this movie is, instead of talking about politics with your family, whereas you may never talk to each other again whatsoever, if you show them this movie, they may not talk to you for years, but they will eventually talk to you again.
I think a lot of people would leave the room if you want to stop whatever conversation you have going on. You're like,
you might find out that they're a lot more like you, because they can laugh. And now, if they don't talk to you for a couple of years, eventually they'll come to their senses and understand they just didn't appreciate the sense of humor. They didn't perhaps have the sophistication. Yes. Yeah. Oh, and the sequel. This is what I liked about the sequel. So I thought it was going to be kind of commercialized. They were going to sell out. They were going to get this $112,000 Kickstarter budget. And they're going to like, we're going to make this PG-13. We're going to make this family friendly. It was just as offensive as the first one. And it was even more juvenile. So they stepped everything up as a sequel should. And it had 20 times the puppets that the original had. And it wasn't even advertised as it's all being puppets. But that's what I really appreciated about it. If you take all $112,000 and spend it on puppets, that's a very good decision.
Yeah, I wonder where the budget went on that.
Well, the budget, I think, well, it didn't go into all the puppets because some of them did not look like there was, some of the puppets looked like there was money put into them. Other puppets, they just sort of threw on like a stick or moved them around.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anyhow,
Get your friends together, annoy them and annoy the elitists, and rent Thanksgiving and Thankskilling and Thankskilling 3 for an excellent double feature. Good time. See how long people stay. Take bets on it.